Hey YouTube, today we are talking about how Congress slipped in changes to streaming laws under the cover of the COVID-19 relief bill. Stay tuned. The COVID-19 relief bill was tied to the overall government spending bill. As we went over before, this $2.3 trillion, of which only $900 billion of it was for COVID-19 relief, these proposals were presented 2 hours before congressional representatives were being asked to vote on it. Now that Trump has signed it, with great pressure from both sides of the aisle, we need to talk about it. One of the things in the bill that has been reported but not widely discussed are the implications for updating the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to include streaming copyrighted content as a felony. Downloading content that is protected by copyright is already classified as a felony, and this really brings streaming in line with the other forms of content consumption. While the law itself is not necessarily bad, some of the ramifications need to be fleshed out a bit. The internet has developed with protections for companies and consumers. Companies are protected by Section 230 of the DMCA, which Trump is trying to eliminate in the veto of the defense bill for not including it. But that could be for a different video. The Senate included it in their proposal for $2,000 checks. And I'm not in favor of the $2,000 checks. I think $600 is good, but it caps at too high. So really, if you want to help the economy and help struggling people, including more funding for the unemployed is the way to go. But this could be all for a different video if you're interested. Now, making the payments for the unemployed as opposed to blanket stepped with how much money has been contributed by individuals or how much they made before they were unemployed, I think is also a better way to go. But the direct payments really just cap too high. So you have families making $150,000 who are getting all of the payment. And that is really not the same as somebody who makes $35,000 a year. The inclusion of streaming as a felony is really an attack on consumers. So how is this different from downloads and being in line, theoretically at least, from what is already legal and illegal? The main problem is that regular people are not going to be able to know whether or not the content they are watching is properly licensed. It is not just people watching full movies from sketchy websites that'll be impacted. From Facebook to YouTube to Pornhub to TikTok to random websites, copyrighted content is disseminated everywhere, and there is no way to know if the content you are watching has been properly licensed. YouTube has gotten around much of this by providing the ad revenue for videos featuring copyrighted material to the copyright holder automatically, and then taking things down at the request of the copyright holder. But not everything is in the databases. Not everything is able to be identified by all the different content platforms. So the medium-term implication of this is that selective enforcement could lead to different means of holding policing pressure over targeted individuals. Imagine a crime so ubiquitous that everyone is inadvertently guilty of it. Anyone that is under pressure from law enforcement or prosecutors, whether guilty or innocent of the primary crime, can be coerced by being guilty of an unintentional felony. This is a boon for false imprisonment, unjustified plea bargains, and overzealous prosecutors looking to bump up their conviction rates or simply make examples of individuals. In this sense, it is like the Patriot Act that was passed to prevent terrorism and resecured under the guise of preventing child pornography. But the laws are really enforced against petty drug offenses. Once law enforcement has the tools they want, they will not hesitate to use them for any and all types of cases, no matter how unconstitutional. Long term, this law and laws like this continue to delegitimize faith in good governance and legitimacy of laws in general. And like the enforcement of the war on drugs, law enforcement and prosecutors have no qualms of enforcing laws unequally. For example, drug usage was high on college campuses during the crack epidemic that ravaged urban centers. But it was not white, affluent drug users being punished. If they had been targeted and punished to the same degree as less affluent urbanites, there would have been an uproar. And many of the prosecutors, being tough on crime, were the same people doing coke in law school. The hypocrisy of this system is never ending, and adding another arrow to the quiver of unequal justice will have predictable results. This is still developing, and we need more time to see how this impacts everyday Americans. For now, this has been Callie with the California Perspective, and I'll see you in the next one.